Hello and welcome to the first episode of United Weekly, a fan channel dedicated to Manchester United, discussing everything about the club and European football in general. Not only do we discuss the men's team, but also the Manchester United women. We're all about opinions, statistics, and inclusivity. No agendas, forever red. I'm Alexi Fury, and to my right is Jay in Pixels.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing, man?
Not too bad, not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, really, really good, thanks. So we're going to kick off with the biggest story of the summer, which is Jadon Sancho. Obviously, the saga is rumbling on and on. What are your thoughts on the whole thing, and do you still feel that we're going to sign him?
I am less confident, but I am still confident. I think that the board are not willing to put in a huge amount of money on the off payment. I think that obviously they want to do it in installments, and I think Dortmund want it in 2 installments, and the biggest being the first, whereas United want to separate it into 3 over 3 years. So like it is literally just pinching pennies at this point. But we need him. If you look at our team, it's one position where I just don't feel comfortable and confident in. So we do need someone like him, and he's young as well, and he's probably one of the most exciting wingers in European football. And I think that he'll make back his transfer in shirt sales alone. I don't know why they've held fire on him for so long, and it worries me that Dortmund are just going to turn around and say nah.
Well, the news that the main sort of thing going around is that essentially that obviously he wants to come to United, and we want him, and Ollie wants him, and Dortmund have said to him that if the transfer fee is paid, that he can go. I mean, Dortmund are a selling club. That's what they do. They said they weren't going to sell Ousmane Dembele, and then Barcelona said, "Well, here's the money," and they said, "Yep, cool, off he goes."
Same with Lewandowski as well.
Exactly. This is what they do. They bring in a young player, they help them to develop, and then they sell them on for that's their business model, and they're very, very good at it. They've been very successful with that. They made good money on Kagawa and Mkhitaryan and Goetze, and keep naming players. Dortmund are very, very good at this, and I think they're going to get their money. I don't think United can back away from the deal at this point. I think they just have to pay up, and I think it's just a case of we're doing things in a certain order, in a certain way, to maximise the amount of money that's in the bank at the end of the day. But I think once the internationals are done, I think then we'll start to see actual movement.
I just hope it's done before. I hope it's done before the start of the Premier League season, because to me, buying players after a season's already started is too late. I mean, it's good to get additional maybe bench warmers, like getting an Odi and a Garlo after, for example, the transfer window, the league has resumed or something. That's just someone to fill in as a backup player. But if you're trying to get someone that you want to integrate into the squad, you as a first team player, you don't want to be buying those once the season's already started.
Yeah, exactly. And we dropped points to Palace at Old Trafford last season. We lost, and going with it'll be a different team because obviously we've got Bruno and there's a lot more confidence, and I think Martial and Rashford both come on as goal scorers. But I think having someone like Sancho in. He's a player just like Donny. He'll just lift the dressing room.
Yeah,
lift the dressing room. We go, on our first day with full confidence, and we go and smash Palace. Obviously, in one of our follow-up videos, we're going to do our predictions and all that sort of stuff, and we can talk about Palace then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm still confident that we'll sign Sancho. It's just when, and just press the button, send the money. Ollie has stated now that he's told Ed Woodward to fix it, to get the transfer done. So I think that's pretty clear. I think it will happen.
Which the thing is that one thing I've noticed in all the news reports that hasn't been mentioned, where Ollie did say fix it, and if he did say that, means that it's been broken. Which obviously they Dortmund had that. Was it 10th of August deadline that we missed, and
it's a fake deadline because if we pay up, then they'll sell him. So the deadline didn't really mean anything.
Yeah, but I'm wondering. I mean, even the way Dortmund held themselves in the talks originally as well. Apparently, they were sending out a third party, and like we didn't even discuss with Dortmund. We discussed with a third party agency and things like that. I just think that I think teams know that Man United will splash out 80-90 million on a player. We did it with Maguire.
For British players, for English players,
and
because
Jadon is.
And but I think with Jadon, it's a bit different though. I mean, 80 million from Maguire was basically we paid double for his passport. That's what that was, and I mean, it's a bit different with Aaron Wan-Bissaka because Maguire, he's a top player, but he's not the best centre back in the league. Whereas Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I mean, name someone better.
I mean, I'd only say Trent is better than Alexander. Is better than Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, like they're roughly the same, I'd say.
I think if Wan-Bissaka improved his
attacking play
in the final third, I think that he is on par with Trent. When he has a good game where he does well attacking, the one game that comes to mind is when he whipped in the cross for that beautiful Martial header.
Yeah,
and it was like a beautiful cross that went outside and in again.
He can do it.
He's got it in his locker, but Trent's also a lot younger, and I mean he's a league winner. So, I mean, but yeah, between those two, it definitely gives Gareth Southgate a bit of a headache when it comes to picking an England team.
Yeah.
So.
I think we've got a discussion about that later anyway, so we'll come back to that. And then moving on to our one signing so far, Van der Beek, thoughts?
Really happy. I'm a huge fan of Dutch football. Funny enough.
Cool.
I find it quite similar physically to British football or the English leagues. And Ajax is obviously a team with so much history. Van der Sar being a legend is their technical director. And I remember when I started watching them, I believe it was to watch that Patrick Kluivert's kid, I think plays for them, doesn't he? Or did play for them.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, and then I remember seeing this little attacking midfielder and Donny van der Beek. I was just like, and we played against him, and I was like, this kid's brilliant. Like he was only on for about about 10 minutes when we played them, or something like that in 2018 or something like that, 19.
Yeah,
he came on for the last 10 minutes in the final, the Europa League final,
2018, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember him coming on and thinking like, Ajax could score here. This kid's brilliant. And then I heard Real Madrid were interested in him, and I was like, typical. Madrid are going to get a brilliant player, and then it turns out we get him, and I'm just like, I'm really happy with that because it shows that one of the best teams in the world, admittedly dropped off a little bit in Real Madrid, wanted a player that we managed to sign, which means that our scouts are obviously doing something somewhat right.
Yeah, and I think that's been the main difference this summer, and obviously buying Bruno as well. Although we got very lucky with that because he could have joined several other teams last summer, but he stayed instead. And then
he was very close to Spurs, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I think if he'd gone to Spurs and if he played in the right position, Spurs could have potentially finished fourth, and we may not have even got anywhere near Champions League. So
I mean, Bruno's transformed us, so.
Exactly. All right, and then just 3 potential transfers that are still kind of hanging in the air. So the Real Madrid left back Reguilon, he's been offered to a number of clubs. It's nothing to get hugely excited about, but he's a very good left back, very talented player. Could some think he could come in and displace Luke Shaw? I'm not so sure about that, but. I mean, he played
against us. Yeah, he played against us in the semi-final, the Europa League for Sevilla, and he was good. I mean, I'm not so clued up on European fullbacks, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Fair.
So in terms of what's out there, obviously I know the greats like your David Alabas and your Sandros and these guys.
But you're not going to go and get one of those right now. So,
but Reguilon could be our next Patrice Evra. But he could,
he's got potential for it.
Yeah, but he could also be the next Rafa da Silva. So
I liked Rafa. I did.
I liked him and his brother. I thought they seemed cool. They had good games. Or especially Rafael had really good games.
Yeah,
like every now and again. Fabio was hit and miss, but like in terms of thinking about our wing backs over the years, like your Dennis Irwins, Gary Nevilles,
Evra,
Heinz, like you've got so many
to an extent, anyway. But yeah.
I mean,
Antonio as well. He was excellent right back.
Yeah, he was. But I mean, until we've had Wan-Bissaka, we haven't really had our back four this season is consistent. Gary Neville was the last out and out right back that we had. Valencia was a converted right back because he lost a yard of pace.
Yeah,
and he was. I mean, come on, the guy was a walking triangle. He was muscly and built, so he was a good right back, but he wasn't a natural right back. So it's good now that we could potentially have, the likes of Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, Brandon Williams, this Reguilon. And Timo Fosu-Mensah. We've got those positions covered. Centre back. I mean, I do think we do need another centre back, but
we need to move on the ones we've got.
Yeah,
Rojo he can leave for a bag of chips.
Jones.
Phil Jones is injury prone and never became the player that Sir Alex thought he was going to be.
He had one season where, half the season, it was okay, I can see his potential, but then he never lived up to it, and he bought those pink boots.
That was the end of it. That was the end of his career, right down.
Yeah.
And then we got talking about centre backs, Benoit Badiashile, who we had an offer turned down, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it's all gone quiet around Badiashile since then. I mean, if we sign Reguilon and no centre backs, I'm okay with that for a season.
Especially given the fact that if we can keep Axel Tuanzebe fit as well, because then we'd have Bailly and Tuanzebe as backup to Maguire and Lindelof.
Yeah, I think Tuanzebe's definitely got really good potential, but keeping him fit is looking a difficult task. And we're going to discuss injuries later on as well and the consistency of them.
Yeah, but it's like I said to you off camera when we was first discussing doing the show, is that I can picture Luke Shaw becoming a centre back.
Yeah, he's got he's physically strong, he's quick, and Ollie trusts him there.
And when he was in the back three, he was the most consistent centre back out of the three of them.
Yeah.
And he isn't even a natural centre back, so I could see us playing Reguilon on the left with Luke Shaw. Maybe they're trying Luke Shaw out in centre back. I mean, it's worth a shout.
Yeah, and honestly, Brandon Williams needs to play right back. He's back up for Wan-Bissaka, and Timbo's not the most amazing left back or wing back, but he's pretty solid defensively.
He done well the few games he came in.
He did okay, especially as to me, he didn't look fit at all.
He hadn't played in, was it 1,000 games?
Something like that.
Or no, 1,000 days.
1,000 days.
Yeah. Not 1,000 games, because that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Some crazy. Yeah, it was some huge amount of time.
Yeah.
He put in a shift, and that's what we can ask of him, really.
Yeah.
So the whole Thiago saga. What are your thoughts on that? Because is he coming to Liverpool, United? He's already said goodbye to his teammates at Bayern, so.
I think that he would be a brilliant addition to either of those teams. But from a United perspective, if we did get him, which I don't think we will, I think as a PR bargaining chip, But if we did get him, having him and Matic as a backup or vice versa, again, it just gives us depth. The problem is that like when there's talks about us buying Joshua King or David Brooks from Bournemouth, and it's just like, well, no, because then they wouldn't make the first team, and we need to have a bench of first team players. Yeah. Like, that's the reason. Like, Ollie doesn't trust his substitutions, so going in for someone like Thiago, even if he wasn't going to be the first choice, which I think he should be, and that then gives McTominay time to learn off of Matic and Thiago on how to be a proper box-to-box midfielder. And hopefully, when Thiago's time's up, both him and Matic have moved on, retired or whatever, McTominay can then step into that role. Because I think it's too young, too soon for McTominay. But I think he's a decent little player. He's got that tenacity, like that Roy Keane tenacity.
Yeah, he just needs to develop his game.
He needs nurturing. And having two world-class centre midfields, especially in Thiago, who's won stuff, and Matic, who's been around the Premiership for years, I think that it would be nothing but benefit. But whether we're actually legitly in for him, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I think it all hinges on Gigi from Liverpool. If he does join Barcelona, he's not a Barcelona player. If any Liverpool fans see this, they'll probably hate me or whatever. But Gigi's a top class player. Don't get me wrong. He's a very good player. He's proven it. He's scored against Barcelona in Champions League, and he's an important player for Liverpool. But is he a Xavi or Iniesta? Not even close. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what Barcelona are trying to get. The bringing Ronald Koeman on when you got Pochettino doing nothing.
Yeah, but have you heard the rumours that's because of his links to Espanyol, isn't it? That they never brought Pochettino in. He had said some stuff about Barcelona in the past, I think.
I mean, yeah, but you've got pride, or you do want pride, or do you want to win?
Yeah, though Barcelona, the way the Spanish clubs, the way they're very much run like cities.
Yeah, it's all politics.
Yeah, it's all political.
For politically, I totally understand that. But in terms of being successful, what has Ronald Koeman done as a manager? I mean, you could argue Poch hasn't really won anything.
He's come down close, to be fair.
Yeah, very close, and much closer than Ron. I mean, Ronald Koeman was a great player, great servant for Barcelona and the other clubs he played for and for his country. Very successful in that sense, but as a manager, I mean, we could sit here all day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Thiago. I think if Liverpool are going to buy him, then they're going to have to move someone on, which may well be Wijnaldum, and then so Thiago joins them. But Thiago might just join them anyway. They might buy Thiago first and then sell Wijnaldum.
Yeah. I mean, I think wherever he goes, it's a positive signing. I'm not saying it's like groundbreaking or anything like that. It's not
a Ronaldo or a Sancho or a
no.
Or a Messi before he decided to stay anyway, which everyone knew he was going to do.
Yeah.
For the last year of his contract. But actually, not something I've got in my notes. Where do you think Messi will go next year, or do you think he'll resign?
No, I reckon he'll go Man City. If he doesn't go Man City, I'd say he'd go to the States and make some money.
Yeah, or back home to Argentina. I mean, he'd have to take a better wage cut, but the whole thing with his family isn't going away. That his kids were just begging him to not leave Barcelona. So I
got shit from someone the other day when I said I'd take Jadon Sancho over Lionel Messi.
Oh yeah, well yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh, but Messi's the best in the world." I was like, "Yeah, but Messi's going to give you a year and a half, 2 years." Whereas,
it all froze up there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's like, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, that's cool. But I was like, yeah, Messi can only give you a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
Whereas Jadon Sancho can give you 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
Yeah.
And Messi is the greatest player to have ever played football. And you could argue Ronaldo and whatever as well, and I totally get that because Ronaldo has had an incredible career. The two of them are very much, 1 year one's better, next year the other one's better, it's back and forth. But also Ronaldo's won an international tournament for his country.
Yeah.
And Messi hasn't. So
also Ronaldo's won a league title in every team he's played for.
Well, so is Messi technically.
Yeah, but he's only done it once in one league. Yeah,
one league, one club. Yeah, but
where all Ronaldo needs to do now is go to the Bundesliga for a season, win that with Munich, and then retire happy. He's won in the top 5 leagues.
Yeah. Well, we almost re-signed him when Jose came in.
We did, yeah, and I'd like to see him finish.
Ronaldo was like, "Do you want me to come?
Yeah,
do you want to come back to United?" Like it wouldn't have been immediate, but maybe been like a year or so later. But his wages and all that, and it's just not worth it.
Well, given what we paid Alexi.
Yeah, and I was literally about to come on to Alexis. A lot of people have given him shit about calling him a snake and all that kind of stuff about the training, about his first training session. He wanted to move back and whatever. And as a United fan, yeah, screw that. But at the same time, I'll just play devil's advocate for a minute. He just didn't, he wanted to be at City. He didn't want to be at United.
Yeah,
because City we're gonna win the league, and United win.
But
and then City went, we're not going to pay his wages, and apparently we were. So so we signed him. It was a marketing. It was a pure business decision. It wasn't a footballing decision at all.
I personally think that there should be some legal ramifications by him saying from day one he didn't want to be there, considering how much we paid him. Because to me, that's almost like on the borderlines of fraud.
Yeah, or slander, or whatever. Like whatever legal terms, sort of thing. Totally. But it's not going to happen. United are just like, we're done. It's fine. He's gone. We're not paying his ridiculous wages anymore. Cool.
And it's such a shame because when we got him, even though he was 31, I think 31 when he came to us, I was like, this guy's proven in the Premier League.
I think if he had come in, have that first training session and turn around and said, I need to prove myself. I need to, just show up training tomorrow and put in 200%.
Yeah.
I need to force my way into that first team. I need to score my first goal on my debut, and I need to absolutely smash this. But instead, he went, "Oh, let's go back to Arsenal, where it's safe." And let's not aim to win a league, and
let's not put the effort in.
Yeah, and it's just it's another Carlos Tevez, just someone who's very good, but if things aren't quite right, can't be bothered. Nah, I'm going home.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Like, just.
Maradona's, isn't it? Prima donnas. Sorry, prima donnas.
Prima donnas,
not Maradona's.
No, definitely not. Even when he was struggling, I still liked him as a player because he was always running. He's always putting in effort. But just now looking back on it, apparently he just didn't have the right mentality, which is a crucial thing at United. Same with Falcao and Di Maria, didn't have the right mentality, so it didn't work out. We've never been a club to buy a Galactico and that sort of thing. I think there's maybe one exception is Van Persie.
Like one of the greatest strikers we've ever had, and we only had him for like 2 seasons.
Yeah,
which is disappointing. But that being said, I mean, I think the reason that United don't buy the big players is purely because I honestly don't think that we want to spend that money.
No.
So when we do spend the money, we spend it without scouting out the better players. I didn't want Angel Di Maria because why would you want someone that's been told that you're not wanted by one of the biggest teams in the world? I didn't want him, but we got him.
And he had like 3 very good games.
Yeah.
And that was it.
I remember
3 very good games when I went, okay, this might work out.
I remember when we went, I think it was 3-1 up against Leicester City, and I was like, okay, maybe I was wrong about this guy, and then we ended up losing 5-3.
Yeah. I mean, he scored that absurd goal. It's just like, how did he no one scores that goal. Like what? And I was just like, okay, this is because I was watching it live. Just like this is amazing. And then the team just imploded and Di Maria disappeared. And, which we didn't lose that game because of Di Maria. I mean, he scored a ridiculous goal, so you can't blame it on him. But
I think we've become a bit. I think the reason we've become a bit Brexit FC, as they call it, as in we keep on spending over the odds for English players, is purely out of fear of the Di Marias, the Mkhitaryan's, the Falcaos happening again. It's risky investment because a Di Maria might be like, yeah, I want to go play in the Premier League. It's the best league in the world. But how are they going to do on the bloody 30th of December in Burnley?
In Burnley, yeah.
In the cold. Like, they're not going to like it. Whereas English players that play in the Premier League, that have lived and breathed the Premier League, that are English, that know our climate and know what it's like to be English, they don't have a problem going and playing at a Burnley or a Stoke or a Blackburn or, it's part of the job. And I think that's the big thing, is that a lot of these players are like, yeah, I want to go to the Premier League because it's the best league in the world. They get there and then they miss home instantly. You hear it a lot. I miss home. I miss Spain. I miss the weather. I don't like the weather here. I mean, global warming would help the Premier League. I tell you that.
I think the signing of Donny has we've kind of turned. Hopefully, I'm hoping we've turned a corner. I mean, obviously Sancho's still going to cost us like 110 million or whatever it is. But you're buying I mean, he can flop. Any player, any team can flop. But he's a Ronaldo. You know what I mean? He's a future star, and well, he's a current star. But he's 20.
Yeah.
How often do you get the chance to sign a future Ronaldo? And
twice.
Twice. Yeah, twice. Twice we've done it. So just pay the money, I'd say, because when we're winning Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues again in the future, which won't be this season, probably not. Might not be next season, but 3 or 4 years time, we're building a team that can really push at least the Premier League, if not do deep runs in the Champions League and semi-finals, and maybe even playing finals and that sort of thing. That's the kind of, well, that's the hope as a United fan, obviously, but that's where we need to get to.
I'd be happy with this season finishing in the top 4, ideally third, with around 75 points, so an improvement on last season, quarterfinals of the Champions League, and at least one trophy. So either the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup.
Yeah,
I'd be happy with that, and I think that's what we should be aiming for. We should
have
won
semi-final defeats into winning trophies.
Yeah, I mean, what did we lost 3 semi-finals this season, didn't we?
Yeah,
and that's I mean,
which we could have won. We could have won all of them.
We could have won all of them. I think that, but it's the last one for me, the Europa League semi-final. Given the fact that it was 2 legs, this was the quickest way and the easiest way to win a tournament in years in Europe.
Yeah,
because all you have to do is turn up on the night.
Win one game.
Yeah, and we just didn't turn up on the night. Would we have beaten Inter Milan? Yeah.
Well, you say that, we made so many chances, but we just weren't clinical. I think we should. I mean, defensively we didn't show up, but the forwards, they all tried their best, which wasn't good enough as it turns out. Which is why we need Sancho and Van der Beek and.
Yeah, and I think that at the moment, Bruno and Pogba drive our team forward. They are the battery bank of our team, and if they don't turn up on a day, Ollie doesn't trust his bench. The bench that we have at the moment. Even Ighalo, who don't get me wrong, I love Ighalo. I love his passion. I love that he loves the club.
Pleasantly surprised by that transfer, yeah.
Yeah, but Ighalo, Lingard, Pereira, Mata, McTominay, all on the bench. Like, none of those, you say those names, they bore me. None of those will change a game.
Yeah. Just imagine being Ollie and looking to your side and going...
That's why we get to 80 minutes and he hasn't made a sub yet. Because he's like, well,
who do I bring on? Who do I take off?
Like,
I felt that on about the hour mark, because we've been pummeling them and it'll die down a bit. And I think we got to the second drinks break, and that's when Ollie should have said to I think Rashford, because Rashford was just not having a great game. Take off Rashford, pull him off, put Mata on,
Yeah.
just calm the midfield down, run the midfield, and I think we would have won the game from there. Not that Mata's the best player ever, but he just has that calming presence.
He's definitely intelligent. Like, he's intelligent with
very
his play.
intelligent. Yeah. He knows how to manipulate the opposition players to draw them in, and then he can release it to a Bruno or a Greenwood or whoever to just go and create something. And it just would have changed the dynamic of the game. But instead, he just sat there and went, I could bring Mata on, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sit and watch and hope.
Yeah,
and I think that was a little bit of naivety from Ollie.
And then we find out again in recently that Rashford was again carrying another injury towards the end of the season, which is
he's like, you know, he's injured now. So
yeah, because he was playing through the pain barrier again, and now I'm not being funny, but the doctors at United have to do something about that, because
the trainers and the fitness coaches and the shall we go on to that next? Just the state of injuries that every season. I was saying to you before recording that every season we have. I mean, like, to be fair, it was even happening under Suarez. Every season we'd have one of our centre backs injured.
Always around February.
Vidic and Rio and Gary Neville had a serious injury. I mean, the one with Valencia was just a bad thing that happened against Celtic, wasn't it? Just a horrible challenge that was just a bit unfortunate. But
I mean, think of it this season.
Luke Shaw,
Yeah. So this season we've had Luke Shaw has been out a few times. Eric Bailly, Tuanzebe.
Eric Bailly is very injury prone anyway.
Fosu Mensah has been out for a time. Then in the midfield, you had Matic out for a little bit, and that's when Fred and McTominay came in. Pogba was out. We didn't have Bruno for a while. He was a godsend. Daniel James and Rashford both got injured because we overplayed Daniel James and he was fatigued. It wasn't so much a knock or an injury, he was just fatigued.
Yeah. Rashford
was injured. Martial got a knock. Yeah. Luckily, he was okay, but he still did get a knock. And for that game, that's when we played Mason Greenwood up top. And he turned out to be a sensation, which we should get onto that in a bit.
Yeah, we will.
And on the right, because I can only think of Jadon Sancho, I can't think of who we used to play on the right.
It was Greenwood.
It was mainly Greenwood, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But there's so many injuries to your first team that you don't want to get to next season and be like, okay, who's going to get injured next? You want to be like, oh well, if they get injured, at least we've got X, Y, and Z player, which we didn't have last season. If Pogba was out, we had McTominay or Fred, and they're inconsistent at the moment. Like, we need players that can come in and like trust them to do a job, put in a shift.
Yeah, it's quite likely that we'll start the season without Rashford as well.
I mean, that's what I've heard. Yeah, I don't know what his injury is at the moment, though. I haven't actually looked into it. I hope it's not his back again, but I don't think it is.
No, I think it was an ankle injury. I think.
Yeah, more of a deal would be made of it if it was his back.
Yeah, but I think probably at least for the Crystal Palace game, we're not going to have Rashford.
Yeah.
Which is why we need Sancho, this week, because then he can have his 2 weeks, and then he can play.
I'm honestly surprised United haven't done something to wrap it up whilst he was over here for England duty.
Because he'd have to come up. You just can't anymore. It's just not a thing. Donny did his medical because the deal was already done.
Yeah.
Did his medical still over where he was camped.
Yeah, but what I mean is he could have done his medical at St George's Park.
Yeah, but we just haven't, But the difference is we've not agreed to pay for him yet.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it would have made sense for United to have pulled their finger out sooner.
Yeah, it would have, but we haven't.
But we're United, so of course we haven't.
Yeah.
Ed Woodward is literally a walking butt plug.
We need a director of football, and Van der Sar ticks all the boxes.
I honestly don't think that a director of football will help us because the board is still going to say no.
Well, no. Well, but they don't say no. They say maybe, and then eventually they
Yeah.
like we buy players eventually.
Yeah.
Like Bruno, we bought him eventually. It's just like, no, we need to buy them. You know, Wan-Bissaka and Maguire, we bought them eventually, and we paid up eventually. It's just like, just pay the money.
I mean, if Man United as a club was a storefront, like in a shopping centre, like every other team in the Premier League would be like a nice boutique store. We'd be like a CEX, looking for bargain bucket games. Like,
and then, but you can't find the one you want, so you go to game anyway, and then you just pay the 60 quid, and then
and then you pay for the display model because it's the last one left, so you pay over the odds for it. And then you realise, I should have done this in the first place. And then every season it's the same thing. And what I'm scared about is if we buy a Reguilon, and we've got the Van der Beek deal, obviously we've done that. And if we did get, say, Thiago, that the board then says, oh, we've had a really good transfer summer, look at these class players we've bought, because yes, they are good players. But to me, a successful transfer window was Van der Beek and Sancho.
Yeah, no, I think
even Grealish and Sancho would have been okay with me, but I'm glad we went with Van der Beek over Grealish because I think Grealish is way overpriced. He's a good player, but I don't think he's Man United material.
No. And there's at the end of the day, it's the Sancho deal. On the surface looks simple, but it's £100 and whatever million deal. It's not going to be simple. And yes, we've got the money for it, and we took out a loan it's about 150 million to pay for the summer transfer business. And I think it's just a case of we're just leaving it in the bank to get some what do you call it?
Interest on it.
Yeah, some interest on it.
Well, it's like last season. Like everyone's like, oh, well, United done good business last season. So we had 85 million for Maguire. What was it? 40 for Wan-Bissaka?
45.
45.
Yeah.
So let's call that 130 million. Dan James was about what, 15?
Yeah, something like that.
So 145 million, and then Bruno Fernandes came in the summer and
for 40, and the winter even. Sorry, yeah.
How much was that for?
About 40 million.
About 40. So you're looking at about 180 million. But if you look at the players we sold and the net spend of what we've actually sold, it's actually we're one of the lowest on the charts of clubs that invest in their team.
Oh yeah. Our net spend was 60 million, I think.
Also, another thing that maybe the people that watch this might not know, they might know, they might not, is that the Glazers who own United also own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they made a very, very high-profile signing that cost them a shit ton of money in Tom Brady from the New England Patriots. So anyone that does like NFL, I do like NFL. Tom Brady was the guy that everyone knows. Literally, the Glazers have bought them for their American football team that they also own. So, are they going to put any of their own money into our team? No, they're not. Because they've already done. They
took out a loan.
But for Tampa Bay, they done it out of their own pocket. Because they prefer their American football team, because they are American, over their football team.
That and they're running United like a business, not a sports team.
Yeah, I mean, isn't Ed Woodward an ex-bank manager or something like that? Something ridiculous.
Bank manager. And the outlay, 8 years since Stripes left has been huge. So they're looking at that and going, obviously I don't know what their gross income or net or any of that stuff. I'm not a finance person. But they're looking at it and going, well, we've invested this and we've won this many trophies, which is 4 trophies I think since Stripes left, something like that. Like FA Cup, Europa League.
That's all we've won.
League Cup, I think.
No, I don't think. No, we haven't, have we? Oh yeah, did we? Under Mourinho.
Yeah. We won a League Cup and Europa League, so 3.
3. That's not good, is it? But I mean, I always say that it was. Do you know how they say bad things come in 3s?
Yeah.
Well, when Fergie left, David Gill left, didn't he? Or he left the season before.
So he left the same time.
Same time, yeah. So
and Paul Scholes retired.
Well, yeah, there is that, but I think the worst thing is so Fergie left, David Gill left, and then when Moyes came in, got rid of the whole of the backroom staff.
Yeah.
Now,
and bought Fellaini.
and bought Fellaini, but like getting like. Don't get me wrong, obviously Mike Phelan's back now, and you could argue that some of the decisions made by our coaching staff are a bit suspect at times, but when you're going through a transition of manager from a team that's a championship winning team, you're coming from Everton, why would you bring your Everton team, like Phil Neville and all of these lot, with you when you have the Mike Phelans, the Nicky Butts, and all of these people around that know the club? That breathe the club.
And showed, what was it? He showed like Rio or Vida, like a Phil Jagielka video.
Yeah.
It's just like, they're arguably two of the best, greatest defenders we've ever had.
I would say, and we should do, if people want to see a video like this, I think, or videos like what I'm about to say, smash a like and put a comment in, in my opinion, if you was to rate centre-back pairings, so we could do this for like front threes or centre-back pairings or goalkeepers, we could do like a tier list kind of thing.
Old school midfield pairs like
Scholes exactly. But if you say a centre-back pairing, I honestly don't think there has been a better centre-back pairing in the Premier League, so since '92, than Vidic and Ferdinand. I think they were perfect.
And I think they were up there with the best that Europe's ever seen.
Oh yeah,
they're up there because Vidic was massive and Rio was quick, and together they were ridiculous.
And Vidic was like that crazy uncle at a party that doesn't mind getting hurt, so he'll do ridiculous things.
Yeah,
like Vidic, the amount of times he threw his head in front of the ball.
He was Jaap Stam version 2.
Yeah.
Jaap Stam version 2. Just big, angry, and just does not let you get past him. Unless your name's Fernando Torres, but
it's like a lot of people say to me, "Oh, well, Liverpool's back two are probably better." No, I don't think so. Joel Matip or Joe Gomez, who goes next to bloody Van Dijk. If you had two Van Dijks, then hands down, but you don't. Joe Gomez is.
No. You've got two very good defenders next to the world's best centre back.
Yeah, and I don't rate like. If we had Joe Gomez or Joel Matip, would I put him in my team? Probably not.
I mean,
maybe Joe Gomez for his age, but again,
Joe Gomez next to Maguire because he's quick.
Quick, yeah, but
he's also right-footed, so we need a left-footed centre back.
Which is why I'm saying Luke Shaw. I reckon Luke Shaw could do a job there because he was our best centre back when he played in the back three. And he's quick as well. Like people don't really everyone calls him Fat Boy, which he isn't. If you actually see him, he's a unit. He's like an Antonio.
He's just a unit, man.
Like Antonio Valencia. Like if you see him, he went for a period when he was injured and he got fat. Guy's injured. Did you not see how that PSV player broke his leg in like 2 different places? Like, are you telling me like you'd be on the treadmill the next day? Like, no. Of course you're going to put on weight, but like if you look at him now, he is a unit and he's still quick.
Yeah.
So like putting him as a centre back,
he's fast and big. Like
I don't know why we haven't had a pre-season. To be fair, because we could have tried this. But...
Yeah, and he's got no fear as well.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I think the main difference between him and Brandon Williams is that Shaw isn't scared of a tackle.
Yeah,
Brandon Williams just watches the ball and tries to not let it get past him. Luke Shaw will go, no, that's my ball.
Yeah,
you've got to get it off me.
Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams trades in, actually going for a ball. With his tenacity and shouting, like someone will like you're going for a tackle with someone, then all you see is him yelling at them like a Roy Keane kind of like fuck off kind of thing, like, and everyone then thinks, oh look, he's tenacious. There's things he needs to work on. He's a kid at the end of the day. He needs to bulk up.
Yeah, like, I mean, he was thrust into the first team as a young defender because Shaw got injured again.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Shaw's injury prone. I think he's just been very unfortunate with some hugely serious injuries.
I think you hit the nail on the head though. It's because he doesn't mind going in for a tackle.
and and he'll bomb forwards as well. He's
Yeah.
happy to bomb forwards and support the attack. So let's move the conversation forwards. So the next two things we want to talk about are the Ollie project. How's it going? And for the next couple of seasons, what do we expect? How do you think Ollie's fared so far? It's been ups and downs, or whatever. But what do you think overall?
I will honestly say that especially this season, but since he took over, I've actually enjoyed watching United again. I think he plays the right style of football. The thing is, I do think he needs to work on a plan B tactic. I think if it doesn't work for him, then he's not one of those managers that can change a situation, like say a Fergie could.
Yeah, very, very true.
But that being said, a few times last season, I saw Solskjaer do what we wanted to see him do, not be the nice guy. And it was when Lingard he gave the ball away, and you could hear him shout across the pitch, "Do that one more time, and I'm fucking taking you off."
It
was good to see that he doesn't take shit.
Definitely.
But I like the project. Do I see Ollie winning a Premier League title? Probably not. Do I think he has a better chance than anyone that we've had? I do, because I think Barcelona always do it. And Real Madrid do it. They hire ex-players to be managers because they live and breathe the club, and I think that's so important. And I think
because it builds that club mentality.
And Solskjaer has such a reputation, even before he was manager, obviously because of the 99 goal and being a club legend, that this is a risk for him. Like even if Man United had won the last 5 leagues in a row, becoming the manager of the club is still a risk for him, because he risks tarnishing his playing career by being a manager. And I tell you what, for the first time, I've actually enjoyed watching the football. I think he's the reason Mason Greenwood is so good at the moment. He was a striker, and what a lot of people might not remember, and there's some people that might not have even really watched him play, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a fantastic finisher. Like, he had a natural instinct for finishing a goal. And you can see that in Greenwood.
Yeah, like Solskjaer had already decided where the ball was going to go before he even had the ball. He knew exactly what he was going to do before the ball arrived to him, which is why his finishing was so on point all the time. And before the keeper could even set himself, he's already hit it.
Yeah.
So, like the goalkeeper's too late before he's even seen that Solskjaer's got it most of the time.
Yeah.
Like he was just so because as has been said in several interviews by I think Ole and Sir Alex and some of the players, he studied the game. So when he went on, he knew where to be, and if the ball came to him, he put it back in the net.
Yeah.
I mean, like look no further than the Nottingham Forest game.
I was just about to mention that.
4-1 up, and just go on and kick the ball around, and just keep it. No, just score 4 goals, because he knew exactly where to be and where the weaknesses were in the defence, and he just stood in that weakness and scored goals. Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's more to it than that, but still.
I think that he's good. I can see him being quite successful at United, and I think that. Yeah, he's not a Pochettino, but we tried it with Van Gaal, we tried it with Mourinho, we tried it with Moyes, and it didn't work. So why is an Allegri going to work? Why is a Pochettino going to work? Why is a Tuchel going to work?
Yeah, I think Poch could have done a good job, but he's yet to prove that he can win a league.
The thing is.
Ollie as well, but Ollie's at least got has the club mentality.
Remember also, Ollie a few years ago was the under-23 manager.
Coach.
Coach, sorry. Coach. Yeah. So he knows the young players coming through or who already come through.
Yeah.
Also,
he trained Pogba as well.
Yeah. Like, Pogba loves him.
Pogba was very, very young at the time, but...
Yeah. And so a lot of the players that are in the team, Rashford, know of him. Martial would have met him and got to know him. And so players have... When you've got that connection with someone from the off, you will fight for them. And we've seen that. We've actually seen the players fighting for them. Pogba wanted to go to Real Madrid last season, but when he see what Solskjaer done this season and how the club's trying to make changes, there's now talk he's going to sign a new contract.
Yeah, which is and that's as big a signing as buying Bruno.
Again, but I don't want that to be another thing by the board. I don't want that to be like by the board, them doing a big contract for Pogba and saying it's almost like a new signing. I hate it when they do that. Yeah. They did that with.
Speaking of which, what did you think of Henderson's massive new contract?
I think he's going to be De Gea's replacement eventually. I don't think it'll be this season. I think we should have sent him back out.
100, yeah, but 120k a week. Not only will no one now loan him, because they can't afford his wages, but also you're now priced into keeping him. But
I think it's a clever move from United. I think it's United saying to Dean Henderson, "Here you go. Here's a big contract. The contract you wanted plus some. Next season we want you."
He's not going to play.
Yeah, but I think what they're thinking is we want you to come and challenge David De Gea. There's going to be opportunity for you. Like, they're worried that De Gea played brilliantly for Spain the other night, but there's still worries that De Gea's lost it a bit. So if De Gea makes a mistake, bringing in a Dean Henderson and him...
but then if Dean makes a mistake, you bring in De Gea and it's back and forth.
But then at the end of the season, we could easily say, like, Dean's not cutting the mustard. We've got him tied down to a big contract, and he's England's future #1 goalkeeper by the looks of it. So he would sell. I mean, I think that he will eventually take over De Gea. I think De Gea's a brilliant goalkeeper.
Yeah. I just think it's too early. It's too early. I think we should have. I mean, I think probably the reason for it is Romero was obviously very pissed off at not playing in the Europa League. And he fell out with Ole over that, and that's fair. A player can just go, I should have played in that game. I didn't. I wasn't given the chance, so I'm going to leave. Well, that's fine. And he's been a wonderful servant to the club, and I wish him all the best.
Oh yeah. I mean, I do too. I think we had, I mean, he was on the bench for us, but he was still Argentina's #1 keeper. So he was a brilliant keeper. I think he made a few mistakes here and there. I admittedly,
as all goalkeepers do, all goalkeepers make mistakes.
If I was Solskjaer last season when De Gea made a couple of saves 2 games in a row, I would have dropped him. Because it's what Fergie would have done.
You mean mistakes? You said saves.
Saves, sorry. Oh yeah, mistakes. Sorry.
Mistakes.
I would have dropped him for Romero for a few games because that's what Fergie would have done, and that's what Fergie did do. I mean, people don't remember Van der Sar getting dropped for Tomasz Kuszczak.
Yeah. Even like we're pretty much a decade later now. Even since then, football has changed.
Yeah.
And I think that De Gea has bought himself time by being one of the arguably, I'm not saying that he's the best.
He was our last saviour over the last 5 years.
Yeah, and you could certainly argue that Schmeichel was better, or Van der Sar was better, or Banks back in the day. Any of these goalkeepers you could argue has been our best goalkeeper. But I think he's bought himself grace by being the best goalkeeper in the world for 5 years straight. Because he was. He was. He's not. He's not now, but he's still a ridiculous shot stopper. And I think if De Gea was the best goalkeeper in the world at most of the clubs, it wouldn't be quite such a thing. I don't think. I think it's because it's United and we've not won for so long, and he's been the best in the world at United. And and you compare him to. I mean, Van der Sar made mistakes. Schmeichel made mistakes.
Oh yeah. Schmeichel was. I mean, a lot of people don't remember as well with Schmeichel that he was reckless in goal.
Yeah.
Like he was like a Barthez.
That was his strength and his weakness.
Yeah.
Whereas for Barthez, it was just his weakness.
I mean, I remember in the Champions League final, the '99 one. I mean, I was only about 9-10 years old. I remember watching it in a pub in Menorca with my mum and my mum's ex-husband, and like now looking back at that game and watching it as an adult, realizing how out of place Schmeichel was quite a few times in that game, where Bayern Munich should have scored another goal, and I think to myself, like, if De Gea had done that against fucking Brighton, like we'd be having a shitstorm right now.
He'd be getting slaughtered for it.
Yeah, regardless if we won or not. Like, you'd be like, where is De Gea standing? Like, they hit the bar, what was it, 3 times? Or like the woodwork 3 times in that game, and each time De Gea's like way off his line. It's like, why are you here? It's like, you know, goalkeepers make mistakes, and I think a lot of people, especially, we live in a day and age now where Twitter's such a big thing, where every idiot can have an opinion. So if someone's coming out and saying that David De Gea is a shit goalkeeper, he's not. He's a goalkeeper that's made a few mistakes. Because if you're consistently good for so long, you're going to eventually have a bad game. You're not going to stay consistently good forever.
No, I mean, like we were discussing it earlier about Roy Keane's.
Yeah.
Which was just like,
it was funny.
You know, it was funny. Like, I like Roy Keane. You know, he's lived and breathed football, and
he would have made him get a cab home.
yeah. You know, he was again arguably our best captain ever.
Yeah.
You know, did a wonderful job. But at the same time, he's just a bit mad, isn't he? He's just a bit.
He is, but
he's just a bit mad. Just a bit like, what are you talking about?
It's why I like Mourinho as a pundit. I hated him as a United manager, but I love him as a pundit. I loved watching him when he was Chelsea manager. Same with is it Ian Holloway? Guy who used to manage Bristol City, the Bristolian, like brilliant. Like they are like, you want those people on TV because it's hilarious.
Klopp and Wenger and just the managers who were just box office. They're gonna come out and say something completely mad, and everyone's gonna enjoy it, and it's great. And it's great entertainment.
But it kind of with Roy Keane, I think he was a bit harsh, because like the mistakes De Gea made, what game was it?
I mean, there were high profile mistakes.
They weren't, but they weren't like obvious errors. It was, he just didn't get down quick enough to save him, and he should have done better. He really should have, but like it wasn't like he had done some like Massimo Taibi kind of under the legs.
No, but he did make some pretty awful gaffes after the Roy Keane thing as well. It's just like, what you did on, you can save that with your eyes closed normally, but for some reason you spooned it into the net instead. This is our world class goalkeeper, is it? Okay.
But Jose Mourinho's proof that coming out and berating your players publicly doesn't work. Maybe it worked once upon a time when he was at Chelsea, but that sort of stuff don't work now.
Yeah. I think Ollie does a great job of just always presenting that
he protects his players.
We're a united front. I have full confidence in my players, and then in the dressing room is where he'll tear them a new one.
Yeah, and you know he does because we've seen him do it on the side of the pitch.
Yeah. He's a baby-faced assassin. So from Jay and Pixels and from myself, Alexi Fury, this has been United Weekly. No agendas, forever red.